Happy Monday to everyone. We are going to go over programming. We just started a new continuing part for the online internship. So part going forward, starting next week, maybe the next week after, the tier 3, which includes the live classes, which is $100 per month. That will include more classes just like this, where we're going to get into how to program. Now, programming is a very common concern and question for new aspiring trainers, and that's what we're here to help you with today. So we're going to take a look at this program document that I'm beginning to finalize. I'm going to have a book so I'm just finishing up my How to Become a Successful Personal Trainer book. It just got passed today for our final edits. I'm waiting for the cover. Got to add in a few more things. I'm hoping it can be done maybe within a week. So that's exciting. We can get that out there. The goal is to be able to get that out to people who buy our study guide. And for those that are maybe training in a corporate gym, where do I go next? I just talked to someone today. They've been a trainer at a corporate gym for 3 years. They want to quit and they don't know what to do next. So that's what we're here for. We want to help you guys be successful long term. And unfortunately, too many trainers today are quitting after they get certified. But we're finding that once you go through an internship, and more importantly, you gain a supervised experience. That's one of the key things right there. I think that separates a great trainer versus an average trainer. Supervised experience, because think of that average trainer. They get the NASM, NSCA, ACSM, ISSA, AFNA, whatever cert they get. Then they go out there and they start training. But how do they know what they're even doing? I mean, if they hurt someone, it's very common. There was someone who commented today on one of our pages, and the person's like, no, you have to be certified so you don't hurt people. And that leads us into today's case example. So we at Show Up Fitness, if you want to train with our trainers, you go online and you fill out an online form. I ask about your goals, workouts, when was the last time you worked with a trainer, what's your profession. I think I made some funny ones like, if you could have one wish, what would it be? Talk to me about your stress, your sleep, and so forth. So this is taken from a client. We're going to call it Client P. This was a few years ago. I modified it to make it more relative towards today. But this is, you guys can see this, right? Yeah, okay. I take it that's a yes. So
we can see it.
Okay, good. Thank you. 38 years old, 5'6", 135, BMI of 22. Now, let's first start off with that. BMI, what does it stand for?
Body mass index.
Body mass index, nice. Normal range is 24.9 to 18.5 to 24.9. Overweight is 25 to 29.9. 30 and above is obese. There was just an article that came out over the weekend. To date, United States of America, 73% overweight to obese. Now, there is a flaw with the body mass index. And what is that flaw?
Is it that it just does weight versus height?
Good. And it doesn't take into consideration what?
Any of your other indicators.
That big guy right there, your muscle. So technically, I am overweight. I'm actually borderline obese. I like it. But we all can look at one another and kind of size each other up. I mean, okay, an NFL running back, he's obese. He's fast as hell. I'm not going to put him into a category of being prone to having coronary artery disease or diabetes. His adipose tissue is low. So essentially, you can take a group of people very quickly and go off of their weight and their height, meters squared over kilograms over meters squared, and it gives you a range. And what that does basically tells you, like, okay, you're in shape or you're out of shape, you have excess adiposity. Those are the things that we got to look at. But by looking at this right here, I can have a general idea. 5'6", 135, BMI 22. Is that overweight? No. She's just your typical girl who wants to tone up, maybe lose 3-4 pounds, gain 3-4 pounds of muscle, maybe maintain 135, maybe get down to 130. She's fine, but it just gives you an idea of where they're at. The highest person I ever worked with was someone at a 56 BMI. That's significant. That's really, really high. And yes, we want to get you down to a quote unquote normal range, but the more muscle you have, you will have a higher BMI. But for that person who's at 56, I want you to get down to 50. I want you to get down to 40. I want you to get down to 30. It's like, think about you're working with someone who you're a teacher and they got a 20 on a test. That's poor. Yeah, I want you to pass. Let's start by getting to 50. Let's just get 30 points more. So it's just giving you an idea. It's a guesstimation. Sure, there's a lot more data that I'd like blood pressure, body fat percentage, workouts, and so forth. But this is how the structure of these assessments is going to be. You're going to get the client, your age, little information about her. She's dental management. So here's what a certified trainer did. So I was on a new fitness routine back in September 2019. My second session with the trainer developed rhabdomyolysis. Could not work out for 6 weeks. Started cardio again, very cautious about getting back into weights and working out with the trainer. However, I had a goal to get toned again, lose some weight, and feel better overall. Looking for an experienced trainer for one-on-one sessions.
Set up the goals back to back.
In the past.
What?
Just remember to keep your stuff on
Oh, no.
there you go. Mute. Where'd we go? I've worked with trainers for 10 years, some great, some okay. Most recent experience was September 2019 when I had a younger trainer that had me work out for 90 minutes straight on a second session. So this wasn't even her first one, it was her second one. Did nothing over 10 pounds. However, many reps and at a fast pace, working mostly arms, including abs, legs, and cardio. Ended with 10 minutes on the erg row machine to exhaustion. I do that shit for 10 minutes and I'm freaking toast. Imagine a newbie second day into a workout. Woke up the next morning with severely swollen arms, could not fully extend. Ultimately went to the ER that Monday, admitted to the hospital with rhabdomyolysis. Stayed 5 days in hospital with CK levels were 10,000. Obviously now very concerned and cautious about doing weights. I've only done cardio since the incident. However, I've been doing free weights and machines for over 10 years and often never experienced rhabdo. I think it was a lack of rest in between reps, hydration, too many reps without a steady ramp up period, too much too soon. I do want a very experienced trainer, someone that at least has heard of rhabdo and knows the signs and how not to let it happen again. So this stuff pisses me off. And this is why I'm so adamant about changing the industry, because when she came in, I remember I looked at her and said, I want to apologize for my coworker. And I'm not even saying, I didn't know the person, they weren't at the gym, but it was just having that title of personal trainer. That's someone who I am. I'm a personal trainer. I'm sorry that your experience was that terrible. Rhabdomyolysis, if you're not familiar with it. So myo, where have you heard of the word myo before? M-Y-O.
Myosin.
Good. And what is myosin?
I'm blanking, but it's to do with the muscles.
Good. So we have actin and myosin. They're the myofilaments. Actin, I think myosin's the larger one. It goes into actin, and that's how sliding filament theory takes place. So you're going to have muscle contractions. And so lysis is like the breakdown. You can something, what word am I looking for? Lipolysis is the breaking down of lipids, which is fat. So rhabdo is just making reference. I forget the prefix. Let's all learn something today. I forget what the suffix of, let's see, prefix rhabdo. It has something like a twirl. Rod, that's what it means, a rod shape. So if you look at actin and myosin, they look like it's a rod shape. So it's the breakdown of these rod-shaped things, which is myosin. If you haven't seen what myosin looks like, myosin and actin, myosin is 1/10,000th of the size of a hair follicle. So So you see how that rod shape begins to get broken down. So this is all the stuff that happens with a muscle contraction. Actually, I don't even know if you guys can see that. So no, you can't. Here. So you have myosin, the golf club, and it goes into actin for our muscle contractions. All right, so let's go back to the program here. So rhabdo, if you ever work with someone, it's nice how we set it up, because we got this inquiry, and in the time that I actually got this was over 5 years ago. I just wanted to make it a little more relevant. But I had never heard of rhabdo before. And so one of the things that we pride ourselves in is we surround ourselves with a great team. And our team is medical doctors, we have physical therapists, we have professors, registered dietitians. And so if I do not know the answer, which happens, I'm going to reach out to them. I don't go in and type in rhabdomyolysis and start looking at the first links and go in the Mayo Clinic and blah, blah, blah. I reach out to the physician on our team. I said, hey, Doc, his name's Chris as well. I said, Doc, what's up? I got a client who came in with rhabdo. I was hoping to hop on a quick call to learn a little bit more about it. I have the general basis that has to do with the breaking down of muscle, but I wanted to learn more about it. So I hopped on a call with him, went over creatine kinase. Creatine kinase is essentially like a biomarker that they'll test in your blood. I think the best way to think of creatine kinase is like a drain with your bathtub. And so what happens is a little bit of hair, it can go down your drain. It's fine. That's just the body's way your kidneys are filtrating through, working out. It's no biggie. But when too much hair gets caught up in the drain, that's when there could be a problem. And that's why she had swelling. So essentially what happened was she broke down her muscle fibers so much that her kidneys couldn't filtrate muscle out of her body. And so when you look at what it looks like. So just so you know, normal creatine kinase levels are between, it's like 50 to 150, I believe, 20 to 200. That's the normal units. So when you have rhabdo, take a look at what your urine looks like. It is dark brown iodine color. That's not like apple juice where you're dehydrated. This shit is, you're pissing your muscle. So I like this one right here because you can see the damaged muscle. And that toxic byproduct of creatine kinase is going to then filtrate in the bloodstream and your body tries to get rid of it, but it can't. And so then she had to go and she was admitted to the hospital with levels of 10,000. Now I went to the doctor about 2 years ago and I kind of screw around with my doc because I know a little bit about the markers and ACSM stuff. And so like I wanted to see what my levels would be at without telling him after a higher intense workout. And so I went in after nothing crazy. I did I think it was like obviously probably a chest day for me, and did some arms, and my levels were like at like 600, and this was post workout. So he looked at those levels and he's like, oh my God, these are really, really high. And he's freaking out. But I'm like, no, I did a fast, and you're not supposed to work out before a fast, but that's why my levels were high, because the byproduct, the breaking down like that, those levels at a normal state wouldn't be good, but this was post workout. So it was no biggie. So I would consider myself in decent shape, and I work out pretty hard, definitely harder than the average person. And if my levels were at 600, this client, hers were at 10,000. So it just tells you the amount of damage that was taking place. And I really feel for her because that is absolutely 100% something that should not happen. Why? What are some questions that go through your mind when you read this?
Chris, it sounds like this trainer was probably trying to, either impress the client or, just throw in a whole bunch of variety and just make this woman, completely exhausted. It sounds
Exactly.
like he proved himself as a good trainer.
Yeah, and so she already mentioned it, but he's a young trainer. So let's say in early 20s. Do you think the guy himself did that workout before?
Definitely not.
My guess is no, because guys typically don't lift lightweight like that. So when was the last, for those that are in here, I know Morgan, you train, Mark, you train a little bit. When was the last time you took a client through a 90-minute workout?
Never.
Morgan, have you?
No.
Now, have you guys in here, the 6 folks and myself included, have you ever worked out for 90 minutes?
Yes, but not like this.
Yes.
All the time, right? But what's the difference is I do a set of heavy bench for 6 to 8 reps, then I rest for 2 or 3 minutes. Do you think that that's what this trainer was doing? No way. You're going to see him doing curls for 15 reps, into lateral raises for 15 reps, into presses for 15 reps, into bent over row for 15 seconds, into jumping jacks, into push-ups, into just work after work after work, annihilation. Because if you are insecure and you're not a great trainer, you try to beat the shit out of everyone because we play into the game thinking the client wants to be annihilated. My clients want to be, they want to have a hard workout as well, but I'm not going to do it for 90 minutes. What I'll do is I'm going to take you through a workout here in a second. I'll do it for maybe 10 minutes at the very end. And I ask them how they're doing, and their face is perfectly normal. They're not like about to pass out. And so the thing that bothers me the most about the fitness industry is this individual was not held accountable. There wasn't a ticket. There wasn't a sentence. I think that someone like this should be sentenced to jail for 6 months because this client could have died. Yet where's the accountability? I worked with another girl, and her husband went into a CrossFit class, and this was in Houston when the humidity was above 90%. And so there's like certain levels that you're supposed to be hydrated, and like it gets very complicated when it starts getting hot and it's humid. And he did this high intense CrossFit class for 60 minutes. And when he was reported to the hospital, the next day his levels were at 100,000. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks. He almost died. And so, that's where something like CrossFit gets a bad rep. And there's nothing wrong with CrossFit. It's all relative, right? Because us in here, we could take a CrossFit class and it'd be fine. But for someone who's deconditioned, it's not fine. So for this girl, client P, for her to do this workout, it's not appropriate. For us to do the workout, we'll probably be fine. I've been doing sets of 200, not sets, but whole total volume of 215 was my PR the other day. I'm working up to 500 by the end of the year for chin-ups. Now, if someone has just been training and they try to do 500 chin-ups, they're going to get rhabdo. I'm not telling other people to do this. This is what works for my body. But the unfortunate thing is a lot of newer trainers, they don't have the foundation. Who knows where this kid was with his training? He could have just been certified a week prior. Client P could have been his first client. And the first workout was fine. So when she comes back in, he's thinking, I got to kick her ass even harder this time because I want to make sure to keep her around. Who knows? Maybe it was the first session was a wellness consultation and now this was the workout. So now he was trying to impress her with a high intense workout. There's so many factors that are going into this we don't know. But it's unfortunate that people experience this stuff because at the end of the day, who gets a bad rep? We do. So I reached out to my doc, learned more about the process. I said, I wanted to learn more about, is this something that is like, you get it again? And he's like, no, it's like a bee sting. So if you get stung by a bee, it doesn't mean just because you see a bee, you're going to get stung again. So it's like essentially what this kid did is he put a beehive right next to the client and kicked it. And she was the one who suffered from it. So she doesn't need to worry again, but there is a time frame when you would need to be concerned. And that's the great information about consulting with the doc is I would have never been able to find that anywhere else. But he said, typically you want to stay away from any type of resistance for a minimum of 4 weeks. After 6 weeks is when you can start training again. So that's good information to know. So if someone were to just get rhabdo a couple of weeks ago, maybe they got it over Thanksgiving, I wouldn't want to start training them with weights right now. I'd probably give it until the new year to start. It's all, good information. Some stuff that I think was inappropriate would be the 10 minutes of ergo at the end. 90 minutes, that's inappropriate. So keep it to 60 minutes, do the higher intense stuff at the end. And if I'm insecure myself, you can tell your client, well, hey, how about you do 10, 15 minutes of cardio at the end on your own terms if you want to. I've been a trainer for 15 plus years and I've never come close to giving anyone rhabdo. I work out very hard myself as well, and I've never gotten rhabdo. This isn't something to scare you guys like, I'm going to get my client rhabdo. Sure, you could if a beginner comes in and you take them through something like this. There was a PE coach in the Midwest, I want to say Ohio, a PE coach, 4th grade. He got a group of 30 kids rhabdo. And parents freaked out, like, oh my God, kids lifting weights, it's going to kill them. This fucking teacher had this group of 4th graders do 300 body weight squats. Like, it's not even fathomable. Like, if I were to work, okay, I'll lift weights with a bunch of young kids. I'm going to do 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, total 90, maybe 100 reps. 400, that's insane. So this is the stuff that really just bothers me because at the end of the day, we get the bad rep. And this is why, practitioners in the medical arena look at us as jokes because most people don't even know what rhabdo is, but this is now a common term. And so that's kind of a breakdown with rhabdo. Now, what are some things that are going through your mind? I'll write out a program here in a second, but what are some things that are going through your mind when it comes to drawing up a program for her?
Chris, I think the first thing is getting the client's feedback on what she would be comfortable with at this point, that she wouldn't be nervous about. You know, obviously it sounds like, you know, you got to build up her confidence a little bit first. So I would probably incorporate some things that she has done, that she's comfortable with, that would build up her confidence a little bit. So I would get some feedback from her on what she likes, what she has done previously, and she's seen some good results from, especially being she had a trainer for 10 years. My question would be, well, what did you love about that trainer? What did he or she do that was beneficial that you loved?
Yeah, I like that. That's good. As she did mention, I would definitely do your research and be confident with the conversation. So she said she wants someone who's experienced with and has maybe is familiar with rhabdo. So like when she came in, and we'll just keep on calling her client P. When she came in, I was, first thing I said is I apologize for everything. And I said, I personally never had rhabdo. I've never had a client get rhabdo. I'm familiar with it. I did reach out to our team physician, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the specifics around your case. Very abnormal. Typically, doctors, ER doctors will see this in situations where like a brick building or something were to fall on a client and smash them. It's not common in the fitness realm. If you're an educated trainer and you understand how the body works, my background's in kinesiology. I teach personal trainers. I've trained over 1,000 people. I've graduated at the time over 400 trainers. No one's ever got this. I can assure you absolutely 100% you will not get rhabdo after today's workout, nor will you ever get it with me. And I made that very clear in the beginning, and that made her feel a lot better. And so I did exactly what Mark said is, I just start talking to her a little bit about what she's comfortable with. What are her goals? I didn't baby her like, oh, you're like, oh, we're going to take it super, super light. And it's going to be like, because at the same time, she needs to see the value in working with you. But this is our normal patterning that we would do. So we do a core movement pattern. So we have a squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, a unilateral, maybe some transitional stuff. So typically we like to do like a core, an accessory. So if that would translate into, for someone like her who wants to lose weight, tone up, we would want to do like a hip thrust into a push up and do a bicep curl. Do that for 3 rounds. Start with 15, 12, 10. And then we go to the next circuit. And then maybe we do a squat pattern into a pull up into a core exercise and do that for 3 rounds. And then last but not least, maybe we do a unilateral step up into a landmine press, into some side band walks, into some cardio. That would be a normal circuit that I would do with someone, but she's not normal. So one thing that I'm going to be very, very concerned that I do not want her to experience. What do you think that is?
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion, true. What else though? Soreness. I do not want her to be sore at all, because if she gets sore, she's going to shit her pants. And I do not want that. So what is something specific that will induce more soreness?
Chin up. Slow eccentrics.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Slow, forced, or any type of emphasis on the eccentric. So we're going to eliminate anything that she cannot do. So if she cannot do a push-up, I don't want to do push-ups on the ground because it's going to be too challenging and she'd experience soreness. For a chin-up, I would definitely not do that. What do you think would be some exercises or a type of equipment that would be appropriate for her to use?
Some resistance bands?
Yep, that was my go-to when I trained her. Now, normally in this person on the left, as I told you, the rep range would be 10 to 15. Now for her, what do you think my rep range would be?
8 to 12.
Good. Definitely going to do light. So I would do maybe 6 to 8, 6 to 10. My rep range was first one, I think I did 8, went up a little bit 8, didn't even come close to exhaustion. So here is our first exercise. I remember we did some foam rolling, and I talked to her about this room that we had was like an aerobics room. I said, we're going to do the workout in here. We're not going to use any weights. We're just going to go use body weight and bands. We foam roll. I did some stretching, knee stuff. I gave her a band, and we did some rows. We did 8. And then we switched for 8. And then I went down and I did a plank with her. So I did the core pattern, which would be a row, and then I did row 8. I did 8 for all of them. This one, and then we did 15 to 30 second plank. Isometric isn't going to cause any damage, anything I'm going to be worried about. So then we did the second one. I did a wall / bench push-up. So we started at the wall, just went through a form, great form. Second set, we went down and we did some like a bench, and we just stuck to, like when she started struggling a little bit, I just had her stop. And then we did I said it earlier, side planks. Side planks. And so, but then what we did is with abductions, so she could feel it in her glutes a little bit. Abductions. So just like a star, she held her leg up. I gave her a little bit of resistance down, nothing crazy though. And that was for, so now we have a pull pattern, we have a push pattern, and the last one that we did, what do you think would be the best and probably the safest leg exercise for her?
Body weight squat?
Nope, 1 rep max. We're going to test this. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. So we actually did step up still. And I think body weight squats would be fine. But we had a little bench and we did step up. We did like 8 per side. And then I did some peel-offs. Very, very simple. Nothing crazy. I told you, absolutely guarantee you're not going to get rhabdo from this. Now, if you were to get sore, it's perfectly normal. I would expect to be sore tomorrow, but that soreness does not mean you're going to get rhabdo. And I told her the story about like the bees, and I was very confident that she wouldn't get sore. And when I talked to her the next day, I checked in with her. She wasn't sore. I said, I want to just slowly introduce you back into exercise, because right now we kind of have a bad taste in our mouth. And so I understand we're not going to do anything crazy like the chin-up stuff. We will, but I want you to get comfortable with my style and more so comfortable with how your body's going to respond to this. Because I would totally understand if you were to get sore a little bit, you'd freak out and be like, oh, I'm going to get rhabdo again. And it doesn't happen like that. And so normally we would do this. I regressed it to this for the client because of the condition. Now, what are some questions that you guys have for this client or this situation?
Chris, how many times a week was she training with you?
I told her I wanted her to feel comfortable because she wasn't training regularly. So I said I wanted her to walk 3 days by herself. If she wants to run, that's fine. I'm going to start out with 2 times a week. But as you get more comfortable, I will progress into 3, 4, and 5 days. This is all based on your comfort level. And after like the second session, I have a text from her, I remember, because she started working with my head trainer. I told her that I'm going to take this on for a week because I just want you to feel comfortable. I'm going to have the trainer come in. They're going to shadow. And then I'm going to shadow the trainer training with you, just so you realize that our system, you're in great hands. And I take full responsibility for anything that would happen under the care of my trainers. And so I trained her once. The second session, trainer shadowed when I trained her. So that was the second time. Third one, trainer trained, and I watched the entire time. And then I passed it off on the trainer for the remainder of the time. And she trained regularly with us for over 2 years. And she was doing 3 to 4 times a week. And at no point did she ever get rhabdo. We got her hip thrust in a good amount of weight. She was able to start doing chin-ups. And then you just reflect on that. It's like, it's just a terrible situation. And could you like imagine someone, the first time they ever get into a car, they get into a car with someone who's blacked out drunk and they twirl it on the freeway and they almost die. That person would be freaked out every time they get into a car again. So we want to keep it nice and controlled, and so they feel comfortable with us. And I kept on telling her, like, you know what, I just feel bad about the whole situation. And I told her, we got like a heart to heart. I said, I wish that you would have told someone at that gym, because that trainer could be hurting more people and he needs to be held accountable. And that's just bullshit. Or like, I was like pissed off. Like, if I see this dude, I'll throat check him, because it's like, oh, and now we're even. You go around, you give someone rhabdo. It's like, you should get throat checked for a month straight, just out of the blue. It's inappropriate. And at no point should clients, anyone should be fearful of getting rhabdo. No, no, no. So this was a unique situation. I definitely, at the time, this was probably it wasn't that long ago, it's like 5-6 years ago. 8 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. And I definitely, well, I hadn't heard of rhabdo before. And so I reached out to our docs and learned more about it. But at no point when she said that did I feel like, oh, I'm not going to be able to train her. I feel confident that I can train anybody. If someone gives me a condition or something that they're not aware of, just ask that client. So like if she would have came right in front of me and asked and just start, tell me she has this condition, I say, yeah, I'm familiar with it, but why don't you tell me what you experienced and learn more about it in that regard. And then let them know, I don't feel comfortable taking you through a workout right now. I'll do some of my own research. I'm going to reach out to our team doc to make sure everything will be compliant and it'll be okay for you. Because most importantly, I want you to feel safe. And so then I would follow up and schedule that next appointment and then go from there. Any other questions on programming? So the next, I remember, so the progression from this one, I just did an upper push, an upper pull, and then I did one leg exercise. So now with this volume that we had for that next workout, don't do a complete new workout. I wouldn't want to see, burpees and the TRX rows and the goblets, and keep your core patterns. So this time when we did a row, instead of doing a neutral row, do a pronated row. And now maybe hold at the end for 5-10 seconds, 1 rep. And then when you do your push-ups this time, do a push-up and then do a shoulder tap. Push-up, shoulder tap. And instead of doing a side plank, maybe I do some toe touches for her core. She wants to work on her arms, her deltoid specifically, medial ones. We did loaded lateral raises. We did 5 pounds for 8 to 10 reps, nothing crazy. And then last but not least, instead of doing step-ups, this time I did goblets. So again, I did a push, I did a pull, I kept some of the accessories, I changed in some new stuff, then I shoulder a goblet. The next time, same thing. We did, I think this was the first time I did some rows. I did it with a dumbbell. We started out with 5, did some more core work, and then we did a push. I did incline press with the 5s, and then we did some more ab stuff, and now I introduced a loaded bridge. So she just did a bridge, body weight, and I put like a 10, 15 pound on her waist, and I put a mat there. And each time I just stuck to some exercises, overload, because it's still the same thing. It's principle of overload. That's how she's going to get in better shape, and that's how she's going to overload her tissue. It's just going to take longer than normal. You can't expect to totally transform her body because the intensity is so damn low. But I want her to feel comfortable working with me. So after about like the 3rd week is when I had the trainer, Leah was her name. I was consulting with Leah, and I had Leah start to go to our normal system over here. So it took a good 2 to 3 weeks for her to start doing a loaded bridge into now a normal push-up into abs. Did that for 3 rounds. And then we did Aussies, which would be a regression from a pull-up, because a pull-up would just probably destroy her still. We got into pull-ups later on, but we just did a proper progression. So we did the Aussies into a military press into some more ab stuff. And then we got into loaded squats, back squats, kept it pretty light. Didn't start going to really fatigue until that 3rd week. Again, we could have done it earlier. It's just more out of respect for the client.
Hey, Chris, I got a quick question. It's more for general programming than it is just for this one situation. But when you have the first round of core, let's just say it was general population person, is it optimal to do a core push and a pull in the same round, or do you prefer to put a pull after the push on like the 2nd round? Like example would be, would you do a bench press into like a lat pull down, or would you use that for the next round?
No, you could do it. You could do bench, a push pull into accessory. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Just for a beginner, I might be a little cautious of doing like, starting out here doing like a goblet squat into a push up into a pull up. That's pretty demanding. You're looking at 40% of the lower body, and then there's a lot of pushing muscles, a lot of pulling muscles. For someone who's starting out, it's a lot of work and damage. So I like to separate a little bit as they get into better condition, and that's something you could work into.
Okay, but it's okay if you, again, somebody that's been training for a while, if you put a push and a pull in the same round.
Yeah.
Do you look at horizontal push to a
you don't necessarily have to, but like sometimes what I'll do is I'll do bench press into chin-ups. So if bench press would be a horizontal push, chin-up would be a vertical pull. And then maybe I'll do like an incline press followed by a bent over row. And then at the end, maybe like chest flies into reverse flies or pull over or something like that.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Mhm. All right, was this helpful for you guys? I want to start doing more of these, but most importantly, I want to make sure that you guys are getting something out of it. If there's other questions that you have, as I'm concocting these up, and we're going to have a good 50 of them, I will also have some for body mass equations, so nutritional consultation stuff. So if a client comes in with certain concerns, I'm eating 1,000 calories, I can't lose weight, I'll do maybe 10 of those, 30 or 40 of these ones. I was even entertaining putting some stuff in there with blood pressure, and then adding in just like hypotheticals, not necessarily Heather or this client had this, but I would put those vitals in there. We could also get into doing like your LDLs, your HDLs. A common one you'll see people talk about inflammation. That's something that just pisses me off when I hear people say, I'm inflamed. The only way you're inflamed is if you go to the doctor and you get a blood chemistry profile test and you look at your C-reactive protein. That's the only way you can see that you're inflamed. So you hear it all the time, oh, I'm super inflamed right now. No, you're not. You've latched onto a trigger word that makes you feel good. Toxins. Everyone say that word. Organic. It makes people feel better. So whatever we can do to make this the most complete thing that we can offer for you, just let us know.
Hey, Chris, I got a interesting situation that just happened recently. Obviously, I'm in New York, and somebody reached out to me that runs I guess it's considered a senior facility, but it's a group facility that's got people that are over 55. And the lady reached out to me and she said she's looking for a trainer to train a group of 10 women between the ages of 55 and 65 and they've specifically asked for resistance training with light dumbbells and bands and things like that. I would love, if I know you're doing these, 50 scenarios, do you have any group fitness for maybe a senior population sprinkled in there, or would you be open to doing something like that?
Of course, that's great. I love that and then I can also get into grant writing, and I could also talk to you guys more about how you could potentially use this as like a beta test where there's so much money out there to be made. And if you were to do a beta test with data from this group and you track them like over the course of time, a year plus, and one of the best, what do you guys think would be one of the best screening tests to do for this group of women? So think of the assessment. What's the one test that would be really valuable to do on all these women?
Probably that YMCA step test to determine their cardio.
Nope,
Grip strength.
that would suck, huh?
Grip strength.
There you go. So grip strength, and this is I'm not making fun of you, Mark, but textbooks are going to tell you that the cardio test is what we want to do, obviously, right? Because you're testing the heart. But how do most women in their elderly years? How do most of them die?
Osteoporosis?
Nope.
Heart disease?
Nope. Broken hips,
Ah, shit.
of which can be related to osteoporosis. And so maybe you have you have osteoporosis, you're walking down the stairs, you don't have those type 2 muscle fibers due to sarcopenia and dynapenia, so you can't catch yourself. And they just recently discovered this in the last 3 years, that a dynamometer test would be superior than any type of cardio test due to what happens when you as you age. Again, don't misinterpret that, and you're smart, Mark, you're not. People then say, oh, Show Up Fitness says cardiovascular health isn't important. No, I'm saying for a test, why not doing both? But you can have your clients do 15 seconds or 30 seconds of a jumping jack and then take their heart rate, and that could suffice. A lot of those tests are kind of laborious, 3 minutes. I don't want to check someone's pulse for 3 minutes doing that test. Just have them squeeze this thing and check that for a year to see how we can improve it. It's going to blow your mind too, because some of those people are going to have some crazy low meters. And so, yeah, we can definitely do that. So shoot me over the information about that, how many people, how much weight you'll have access to. I'll also include like the tests that I think would be good, and then we can develop some type of group training. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Anything else? So I'm just going to use these as an opportunity to do continuing more program. I'll post on Instagram tomorrow what we'll do. I'm going to look through the ones tonight. I appreciate feedback like Mark. If you guys have specific case examples that you want to send me, I think those are even better. Last week on class on Thursday, Quinn, one of our students, he designed a program for a 27-year-old client. And this is the stuff that I want to put out there more, and I'm going to film more content as the weeks progress, because I think this will be really awesome for new trainers to see the hypothetical program that Quinn developed and then have them talk about afterwards how it went. Because as you probably experienced, that when you write something down on paper and then you train the person, the application a lot of times is different. And it could be something's wrong, something's achy, something you didn't expect, curveball with equipment availability. So it was really neat from the teaching perspective to see Quinn write out this program, awesome program, did it for the whole week, trained him, and then came back and gave the feedback. And I would love to see more of those YouTubes that we can put out there so you guys can check, type in, because there's anything out there that I know of right now. Like if you look through NASM's textbook, NSCA's textbook, ACSM's textbook, they don't really give you scenarios like this where client has a condition. What does that program look like? How do you progress it? What's appropriate? What's not appropriate? What are contraindications? What are some tests that you can do? And then most importantly, talk about sales. So with client P right here, I sold her 12 package. I could have done a lot more too, but I just presented 12. I said, I don't want to even have you consider anything longer than that for right now. I want you to feel comfortable with us. And she's like, I already could tell in the first 15 minutes talking to you that you knew what you were talking about. And it was just in your confidence and the way that you asked questions and the way that you worded everything. You're very professional. I want to work with you. And it wasn't like, how much do you want to train? No, I told her, I think what's best for your scenario right now is to do 12 sessions. This is how much it's going to cost. How do you want to pay for it? And that's how I presented it. And it's just pretty simple. She gave me her credit card and we went from there. All right, so get those tickers thinking, how we can help you with these classes as we do more of them. I will get more instructors to hop on here as well. Not only instructors in San Diego, West Hollywood, and Santa Monica, so you can start seeing how they do it, but graduates who've recently gone through the program and are training regularly. We'll have like a system where maybe it's like a checks and balances where after X amount of sessions, they have to come in here and teach one of these classes to help you guys with your programming. Thanks, Mark. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. I will be posting this into the Patreon. If you have any other questions, if you haven't done our online, you can go to patreon.com/fitness. You get access to all this stuff. We post them in there if you can't be for the live classes. We have tons of videos about anatomy, movement, social media as well. So shoot me a message if you want more information on that. And that's going to be it. Have a great night, guys.